All right. Welcome back. Sorry about that. Uh-oh. What's going on, man? All right. Welcome back. Sorry about that. Hopefully we got sound here. Yeah, we should have sound. And my sound should be a little bit better than the previous stream. My apologies for that previous stream. The sound quality was horrible. Right now, the sound quality is not the best. It's not my microphone. It has something to do with the settings and the compatibility with the desktop. I gotta get this. I gotta take it to an actual shop. So please bear with me. Anyway, I want to deal with these tweets that, this is disturbing. This is disturbing. And I know that some of these, maybe a lot of them, are non-FBAs. But no matter if they are or are not, we all know that these attitudes do exist here in the United States. Heavy. The Brad worship exists here in the United States. And I mean, what is this? I think dark-skinned boys look like monkeys. What my question is, you see the title, do black men do this? I know black men have their criticisms of dark-skinned women. I heard several of them. Many of you know Tommy Sotomayor used to get on black women a lot, right? But did he criticize dark-skinned women for their looks? Or was it their attitude? And actually related their attitude to their looks, being very dark-skinned themselves. The argument, the idea was that they had to sort of act out. Much of it was their attempt to compensate for their insecurity. Being dark-skinned, you lack confidence. You even have black women who have confessed, who've made confessions about this, talking about their insecurities around their dark complexion. But this is troubling. These comments are troubling. Reese Cup likes dark-skinned boys. Ooh, ew. Like what? And then you look at the black women who have said this. Almost all of them have that real human hair weave. That's real Asian woman's hair right there. That's a whole head of hair from an Asian woman you was just looking at. Asia voice, okay. I don't do short boys and you're dark skinned, ew. And she's dark skinned herself. Many of these women were dark skinned themselves. There is, if you ask me, this comes from their internalizing of white racism. They've internalized it. And for the most part, they're like a mouthpiece for the demons that they got this illness from. Like I said before, I believe that they're possessed by demons. They conjure up demons, and when you see them, they are under possession of a demon. These are not normal women. They're not. In their natural state, nothing is wrong with them. With absolutely no outside interference, without them, because I believe that their experience, their not just slavery, their entire experience here in the United States is what destroyed them, destroyed their mentality, killed their morals. Stuff like that don't just happen with groups of women. Groups of women, demographics of women don't just out of the blue, out of nowhere, start to literally hate their natural counterpart. That just doesn't happen without some type of experience that they went through. And I think it's irreversible. It's irreversible at this point. Look at these tweets. And if you believe this, if you think like this, why would you tweet it? Why would you make thoughts like this public? Why? Are you crazy? This is the type of thing that you keep to yourself. If you're crazy enough to be in this state of mind, keep to yourself. Now, I know a lot of people will say it's not crazy, it's just their preference. No, it's their preference that's motivated by their Brad worship. It's motivated by their Brad worship. I look at things in the most simplistic way. Here in America, for a period of time that lasted longer than we have been free, Black American women were the property of white men. Y'all don't think that has anything to do with their Brad worship here in the United States? And like I said, I believe their Brad worship here in the United States is worse than the Brad worship you see overseas. Because here they have a shared relationship, a history with Brad. And it doesn't turn them off to Brad. In fact, they want to do slave play, race play, slave play. That means you have a stronger obsession to Brad. It's stronger than these women from Africa and the Caribbeans. You telling me? It's just, okay, look, it's just hard for me to believe. Y'all can believe whatever y'all want. I don't care what you believe. I'm not here trying to influence anybody. I'm not trying to gain no cult following or no nonsense like that. I simply want to put my views out there. I think it's impossible for their history to have nothing to do with how they currently are. Their Brad worship, oh my bad. I didn't know I had paused it. Their Brad worship and their overall anti-black male energy. The hatred that they have for black men. You cannot be this anti-dark skin without being anti-black male. Say that again. You cannot be this against dark skin and not be overall anti-black male. Because even the black men who are not that dark will look dark next to Brad. They're going to look at Brad with the starry eyes, not the black man. This mentality that you see on your screen is the exact mentality that will have them always obsessing over Brad in contrast to black men. On top of that, let me add on to that. I don't know how many other people have noticed this, but you are more likely to have a dark-skinned baby if it's a male. How many of you dark-skinned brothers out there got light-skinned sisters, yet you got the same parents? I know my people. I know my people. You know? When I was young, people thought I was weird because I was so quiet. But what I actually was observant. I was obsessed with listening to people, studying people, absorbing them, just experiencing other people's spirit and energy. I was obsessed with it. I wasn't interested in my own. I wasn't motivated to share myself with others. I was motivated to experience other people. And I noticed this, I've been noticing this for a long time. Even if you have the same parents, you're more likely to have dark skin if you are a male. Why that happens, I have no idea. I have no idea. So, what does that mean? That means that overall, in general, there are more dark-skinned black men. Most black men, I'm even willing to say most black men are dark in complexion. If we got two black parents, most black men are like dark brownish to dark skin. And look at this. Most dark skinned boys are ugly. Is that what she said? Most light skinned boys are pretty. Like, huh? Look at this. Some dark skinned boys are sexy. Most dark skinned boys are ugly, and the rest be looking dirty. Like, let's pause. Is this even a logical statement to make? Like, what type of point do you think you're making by saying this? Because you can say that about any complexion of people. Some light-skinned women are sexy. Some light-skinned women are ugly. But you notice how she said the rest be looking dirty. So you're telling me there are no unattractive black men who are clean? I know for a fact that's a lie. A lot of these dark-skinned brothers who are not blessed in the looks department stay sharp. They stay crisp. Yeah, their pants have creases. Their edges, they're lined up proper. That's not even a realistic thing to say. Your dark-skinned boys ugly to me. Like, again, the sheer number of them willing to make this public is disturbing to me. This is disturbing. In an unusual way. Again, we black men don't talk like this. We don't go around saying how dark-skinned women just look ugly because they dark-skinned. Like, what? You might get some of these non-FBAs to talk like that. Black American men, I've never been around that group. You know, light-skinned boys look better. Dark-skinned boys are ugly. Like, what? Now just think. How many of these women have dark-skinned sons? Would you want a mother that would say something like this? You already know you're going to go through hell being raised by a mother like, and many of us have. Look at this. Dark-skinned boys have ugly, nappy-head babies. And I'm telling you, a lot of them believe this. A lot of them believe this. I've shared stories where I've heard black women talking, having discussions about how they were nervous because they were pregnant with a black man's baby. Nervous. Talking about, I hope the baby is not ugly. Look at this chick. When I was at Six Flags yesterday, some dark-skinned boys is trying to talk to me. Ew, I hate dark-skinned boys. Like, what type of straight-up racist talk is this? This sounds like Klan language only coming from black women. It sounds like they attended some type of Klan course in school. Some type of white supremacist Reddit-based course. Look at this. Hashtag, when I was young, I thought all dark-skinned boys were ugly. Yeah, I bet you did. And again, you see, many of these women are dark-skinned themselves. Haven't y'all noticed in many of their photos, and I don't think I've ever seen a black woman who hasn't done this, they have so much light that you can see that they're trying to appear to be more light skinned than they actually are. They'll have strong light on their face, powerful lighting on their face, on top of wearing light makeup, using makeup to lighten up their facial skin. Many people who meet these women online don't recognize them when they see them in person. The hate for dark skin coming from black women, that is disturbing. That's disturbing. And look at the sheer number of them. This is kind of crazy. I hate dark-skinned boys for some odd reason. Again, are you a mother? Are you a mother? What percentage of black women have kids? Look at this. I used to hate dark-skinned boys. They was ugly to me. What percentage of black women have kids? I like light-skinned boys and have to be tall. I hate dark-skinned boys. Hate? That's a strong word just for having dark skin. I hate dark-skinned boys. You have to be real sexy to catch my eye. Look how dark she is. It's a mental problem. These women are sick. Dark-skinned boys not attractive to me. This is crazy. Why dark-skinned boys so nasty? You see, if your brain doesn't function normally, if it doesn't function the way it's supposed to function, then you have a mental problem. You're not supposed to hate your counterpart, your natural counterpart. You're not supposed to hate yourself, especially as a woman. You're not supposed to be hateful, especially of what you are, your own genetics, your own phenotype. Nobody is supposed to be that way. Nobody. I was just watching a video the other day by a UFC fighter, Dakota DeChiva, and she was showing off her and her brother's tan lines that they had just recently got. And I've said before, one of the major strengths of white people is how they are so confident despite having what they have told us is genetic defects. They told us that having white and pale skin was actually not normal. Is like an albino trait. Having, light color eyes. If you look up in the encyclopedia, they describe having blue eyes as a mutation. I was blown away when I first read this. You can look it up in any encyclopedia. They describe having light, like green and blue eyes. Their scientists, they say that's a mutation. A recessive mutation. Recessive. Meaning they're not as effective, they're not as efficient at processing light. And that people with dark brown eyes actually have better vision and protection from UV rays. And they say the same thing about skin. I think they even say the same thing about blonde hair, like it's a mutation or something like that. Despite that, they don't care. They flaunt all of it proudly. There's not a drop of shame in it. And that's actually what makes them attractive. Their confidence in what they are. And I've always scratched my head like, why didn't that rub off on the average black woman? Why? Because you're black. it's not going to work for you. You can't be possessed by Brad energy and, be confident in dark skin, coarse woolly hair, broad noses, and other traits that identify you as a black person. So you're going to want to remove all of that or replace all of that. And then you'll be confident. Once you get Becky's head of hair, once you get some little blue contacts, and some skin lightener, then you'll be bursting with confidence. Look at this. Look at this chick. Them bone straight weaves. That's that Ling Ling wig. Turn off a ugly ass dark skinned boy. Like, who would make a tweet like this? This is twisted, demented stuff. Like, what in the world? And my thing is, I don't even understand how they could be that turned off by dark-skinned men. Like, what? Being dark-skinned don't reduce your looks like that. Only in the mind of somebody obsessed with whites. Yeah, then it's understandable. And they actually sound more racist than white people. I mean, look at this, Craig. This is madness. This ain't no normal woman. Race aside. Race aside. This ain't how women are supposed to think. So what does that mean? These women mentally are sick. That's not providing an excuse or a cover for their behavior. That's just how it registers to me. If it's not like if your body don't function properly, you get categorized, you have an illness. Something's wrong with you. And that's how it is with these black women. Something's wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. If this is just how they normally are, then that means black men are just as dysfunctional. No, they are under the possession. They full of demons, first of all. They full of demons. And they inherit personality traits. They inherit certain energies, negative and positive. Negative towards black men, especially dark-skinned black men. Positive towards light and especially Brad. Backwards in your orientation to the world. Just as they are outwardly. Backwards, trying to reverse themselves. I got naturally woolly hair, I want it straight. In fact, give me somebody else's. Give me somebody else's literal hair. Forget about this skin, let me lighten it. Yeah, you got issues. That is a serious. And the crazy thing is, and it just shows you how neglected black people overall is. They haven't even tried to examine this. Like scientists, sociologists, and psychologists. You got a demographic of women who hate what they are, who rejects how they are naturally, who not only wears other people's hair, wears hair from people who don't have the same natural hair that they themselves have. So what is that? What are you going to do? You have an artificial appearance. Normal women don't do that. I view these types of tweets as irrefutable proof of their illness, of their just degenerate mentality. It's degenerate. And it's like a culture. It's like any other culture that you inherit from your parents. The culture, that's what the people do, what they engage in. So it, like I said, is a personality trait. It's a whole different set of opinions and perspectives. Right? And it's it's an entire energy that they've conjured. It's like a demon. After it's all done, boom, you have a demon. What do you think's going to happen to the kids? Yeah, they're going to inherit it. The only thing is, it's far more likely that the men snap out of it, or that it don't affect the men. Or because I know there's some black men who are affected like this. But for the most part, the men, I guess because we're men, we are not affected by this sickness right here. We're just not. And the internet is the worst thing that ever happened to black women. These types of thoughts, if it were not for the internet, we would not know nothing about it. We wouldn't. They're not going to say stuff like this in front of us, in front of crowds of people. These are the types of things that they used to whisper about behind closed doors. They were doing that far longer than we've had the internet. They didn't just develop these ideas or these thoughts after the year 2000, the age of the internet. No. They had these thoughts floating around in their head decades before that. But in general, it wasn't on display like this. The internet was a serious blow to their identity. And I forgot. How could I forget the blonde hair? It's so crazy to watch. An altered black woman with artificial light skin, artificial light hair, fake hair to come from other women, talking about how they hate dark-skinned black men. Can't make this up. Now, if they prefer light-skinned boys, listen to their preference. If they prefer light-skinned boys, don't you think that includes white boys? Don't you think that Brad would be the ultimate final boss of light-skinned men that they're obsessed with? Of course. And he is. I've always found it difficult to find black women who were not in love with Brad. They may have never dated one, but that didn't mean that they didn't want to. These black women who have never dated Brad, it's virtually impossible to find the ones who would never. They might lie and tell you that they never would, but that's a lie. That's a lie. They all grow up with this love and obsession for Brad. And it's the opposite for black men. For black men, it's the opposite. So, you can't blame, once again, you can't blame the black male bashers. You got to point the finger at yourselves. And if this don't represent the majority, then why don't we hear or see other black women speaking against it. You would think that would be the first thing they would do. Like, whoa, look at this. No, let me go make this video or this tweet or whatever to try to counter this, because this is not how black women are. You don't see them doing that. They either co-sign with it or they keep silent, just like they did during lynchings. They either gathered around and supported it, or they just walked by, act like they didn't see it, knowingly ignored it. So, yeah, man. Yeah, I refuse to accept the idea that my child would just be naturally degenerate. Like, if I were to have a daughter, I don't accept that she would be a degenerate like this if I were her primary influence. I just don't. I'd have to see it to believe it. But how can you can't hide a child from the world. You can't shield a child from society. So society would eventually, it would have to have some degree of an effect on them. Right? So they would probably end up being Brad worshipers. There's a chance. But you just got to understand. I mean, just be observant. Look at what they do. They have these little powwows. They reinforce these anti-black and anti-black male stereotypes. They live on the social media and the television. They're obsessed with social media and the TV. And the TV and social media, it literally shapes their desires. It helps to shape their mentality. All that on top of the anti-black male rhetoric and energy that they inherit just from their mothers, just from their grandmothers. The hate that's not coming from TV or society. The hate that's coming from their overall basic hatred of how they look and hatred of what they are. They feel inferior. That's the bottom line. They feel inferior. Look at how they treat themselves. Look at what they do to themselves. Look at how they alter themselves. That's irrefutable. They feel less than. They feel less than white women, Asian women, Mexican women. Naturally, by nature, they feel like those women are more beautiful, they're more feminine, they're more attractive. These black women believe that in their heart, mind, body, and soul, they co-sign with that. A group of women like that can't love nobody else. You can't love black men. You can't love nobody because you don't know how to. The only thing you can do is obsess over others and obsess over what you would prefer to be. And that's all, that's Brad. That's most definitely Brad. So, listen, man. I've said it to rap, and I'm going to keep saying it. Because no matter how many disturbing things surface, you don't catch black women talking about these issues. You don't catch them doing that. Black men, some of us, we are disturbed by this, but they're not. That's why they're not motivated to talk about it. They're not motivated to counter it. They're not motivated to put out a different narrative? Do you think, okay, let's go this route. Find an equal number of tweets from black women talking about how they prefer dark-skinned black men. They get motivated to make these kinds of tweets. Where's the crowd who's motivated to make the opposite types of tweets? And I want to see the same dates. I don't run out and make the tweets now after I done pointed that out. So yeah, it's pretty much a wrap. Yeah, I remember that too. Somebody said, I remember when black females of all ages would talk similar to this, but slightly less aggressive. Exactly. And they're more willing to be aggressive and blunt and honest. I'll say honest. Online. You know, the internet can be your enemy. Say we need new black women. The old models are malfunctioning. Well, yeah. Yeah, because, biologically there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with black women's brain or bodies. Everything is normal. But, they're possessed by demons and they fill their minds up with too much BS and evil. That's the simplest way to put it. Yeah, somebody said judging someone off looks is not a feminine trait. It's masculine. Exactly. So women are supposed to be attracted to different things. Exactly. Showing how masculine they are today. That is crazy. Craziest thing in the world. And another thing that blows my mind is how they were so receptive to propaganda when black men were not. Black men sitting back, seeing the game for what it is, and trying to hip black women to the game, they laughing at it, calling us hoteps. Oh, you going overboard. Oh, you tripping. Oh, you being a hotep. But we're not falling for these traps. They are. Yeah, big difference. So what do communities say? Are they getting degrees? So they calling dark-skinned dudes ugly while they themselves are dark-skinned. Yeah, you don't get no more insane than that. So, look, man. If this ain't insanity, show me insanity. If this ain't the Twilight Zone, I'd like to know what is. And a lot of black men are checking out. And black women, let me tell you this. You all are making these other races of women look even more attractive. Even more attractive. Yeah, with behavior like this, with thoughts like this, I mean, the fakeness on the outside has done enough damage. Now, with the internet age, we've reached an era of additional damage. More reason for black men to separate, delineate. It's the craziest thing in the world. A lot of people, for whatever reason, I think emotional reasons, they're not looking at this dynamic for what it is. Their betrayal repelled a lot of black men. 60s and 70s. Their betrayal of black men leaving their kids' fathers, absorbing feminist propaganda. That repelled a lot of black men. For a few decades after that happened, the Oprah era, the talk show era, where they did what? Co-signed with more propaganda, more lies, more demonizing of black men that repelled more black men. They're reacquiring of fakeness, fake hair, artificial chasing the Becky and worshiping Brad and Becky repel more black men. And then boom, here comes the internet. Now they're on the internet sharing their sickest, most demonic and anti-black male thoughts. And guess what that's going to do? Repel even more black men. It's only a matter of time before we get hit with the statistic that only 1 in 6 black women get married. 1 in 7 black women get married. And I'm sure you'll hear an equal statistic that they are some 95% of the ones filing for divorce, those who do get married. Why would that change? The end of a people, it is, it's kind of painful to watch, you know? You know, if you value black men, if you truly value black men, then you would value them in the same way, at least in my opinion. I'm not going to speak for nobody else. You can believe whatever you want. You would value black men in the same way you would value your family. That's a basic value, a basic love. To value other black men just as you would value your family. And how do you value your family? You're looking out for their future. You're doing things in this life to make your great grandkids' life better. You're thinking ahead to the later generations. Well, we won't enjoy that. It's as simple as that. We're not going to enjoy that. The black women, I mean, if you just got a group of black men, they can't procreate with other women and remain black. That's just impossible, mathematically impossible. And I'm just clarifying that for the people who wonder why I just said that. The end of a people. I don't care. Look, if you're FBAing proud, good for you. I'm FBAing proud, but I'm not FBAing dumb. I'm not FBAing stupid. I'm not FBA and fantasize and live in some delusional world based on my emotions. We are going extinct. Did y'all hear the reports that population for Americans overall has declined? I'm not so sure that the black American population is still rising. And I'm even more doubtful that the black American population right now is rising at the same rate that it rose in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s. There's no way. I believe today there are far fewer black couples, period, married or not, far fewer. We are at the height of single black women right now, the very height. So yeah, the end of a people. Crazy thing to witness. I'll land my plane there.